And we are live. Hey, guys.
Oh, hey.
Hey.
What's up?
Oh, I
Hey.
missed this. It's been too long.
There are four of us today. We've doubled since last week.
Hey, I mean, there's something to be said about asexual duplication.
Well, that got
Say
weird.
all of it. I
That
want to
got
hear
weird.
all of it, Ryan. Keep going down that route. Don't stop.
Starting this way. All right, I like it.
All right. Oh man. I think we should just get right into it. Hey, everybody, welcome to You Have to Watch This Podcast. I'm Alan,
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
and today I am standing up because we are talking about Batman Returns. I put all the effort into hanging up this poster, so damn it, I was going to make sure everyone saw it. And now I'm standing in front of it. So today we're talking about the 1992 film Batman Returns. I'm your host, Alan. Did we do that already?
You just did, yeah.
Yeah,
we-
we
okay.
just did.
It's been a week. It's been a week.
Listen, you have firmly
yeah.
established yourself
Yeah.
as the host, though. You are now dominating the
Yeah.
conversation. You can't go ahead.
Joining us this week is my co-host from the Marvel podcast over on Victims and Villains and his own show, Nerf Herders Assemble, Josh Howell. Welcome, Josh.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I heard you were talking about Batman, and I had to insert myself. I'm sorry.
I want to talk about this for a second because the reason we found out is because we all played the movie version of Wordle, Framed, and this past weekend the Framed was Batman Returns.
Yeah.
And like, Josh, I don't know if you know this, but in our group chat for the podcast every day, we all send each other our results. I rarely hear from you. Like I showed you this game at New York Comic Con, but you were so proud that you got it in one.
Yeah,
for
I'd be
Batman
ashamed
Returns.
if I didn't.
And I said to you, ironically, that's what we're doing on this show this week. He's like, and you said, and you didn't invite me on, and now here you are. So, yeah, we're gonna talk about Batman Returns here in a bit. It is our holiday episode, so I put on a nice jacket. Ryan's got a sweater on. Josh, you got a Santa hat behind you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Devin, do they not celebrate Christmas in the UK?
You know, my whole vibe is like young Santa Claus anyway. Like, I'm like one like white beard away from people accidentally telling me what they want for Christmas anyway. So I figured like that was enough.
Prince Santa Claus. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Devin has just become Ebenezer Scrooge. Bah humbug. So,
Fair. Totally fair.
yeah. So before we get into the show proper and talk about Batman Returns, we start off the show by talking about things that we've watched in the last week. And since Josh is our guest, I'm going to invite him to bring up something that he saw this weekend. Josh, what did you see this weekend?
Well, I saw two movies. The smaller one was Young Guns. My wife has never seen Young Guns before.
Okay.
And I love that movie. Emilio Estevez is a freaking psycho in that film, and I love it. Great film. But then we went to see Avatar in IMAX 3D and Avatar 2 in IMAX 3D. And it was amazing. So, yeah.
I also saw Avatar, and that's why we're talking about it first, because I know Devin and Ryan have not seen it.
So hold on. Was this movie actually good? Both of you. Be honest.
My honest non-spoiler opinion is that it is far and wide a step up from the first film. The technology I mean, you can see the pores on the skin of these aliens. It's incredible. The stuff they do with water, which is normally, something hard for animators to do, is amazing. But not just the technical stuff. A lot of people expect this to be a visual thing, but the story is better. The character development there's a lot of work been put into that. James Cameron brought on some writers for this, including a pair of writers from the recent Planet of the Apes trilogy, which they knocked it out of the park with those stories. So, yeah, this is a step up. I was a fan of the first one, but I've even talked with friends that weren't fans of the first one that really appreciated this new one. So, yeah.
all year I've been making jokes about Avatar 2 coming out and like not caring at all. And then like Ryan and I were talking about last week, revisiting the original Avatar got me kind of excited for this, to the point where I went by myself to see this.
Yeah.
I bought my tickets last minute Sunday morning, and
which screen did you do? Like what format?
I did standard. I didn't do anything fancy. I didn't do 3D or Screen X. I just did. I went to one of our local theaters that has like a full kitchen and heated reclining seats, because I looked at the runtime of 3 hours and 20 minutes. I was like, I want to be comfy. So, so I got a great seat, sat back, and 3.5 hours later, I was walking out, and I was like, that was pretty good. I'm going to read you a bit of my review from Letterboxd, non-spoilers. Sure, parts remind me of Alien Titanic, but they work. I'm more surprised that Cameron was able to borrow moments from each of the Free Willy films.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
what?
yeah.
Did that happen?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Look, no one's saying this film is like an original concept.
No.
But it's the execution that matters. And yeah, there was right in the middle of one of the sequences, Maddie turns to me and she goes, "This is kind of like Titanic." And I'm like, yeah, I wonder why.
I was almost expecting "Will You Be There" by Michael Jackson to be on the end credits, but
I was expecting a door. I was expecting a door scene where two of the characters had to fight over a slab of wood, but there wasn't.
Well, I mean, Kate Winslet's going to be in the next one too, so we'll see.
That's true. There's an expanded cast. The score is amazing. Just the details and everything. We went back and we did see the remaster re-release of the first Avatar a month ago, and we did see that in IMAX 3D. And these films were filmed for IMAX 3D. So I'm taking my mom to see this again on Christmas, and she can't do 3D, so we're gonna see that in standard Dolby. But it was incredible. I mean, this is not, when people think 3D, they think all the 3D movies that come out that are normally post-production 3D. James Cameron films in 3D. So, this and the first Avatar is the only 3D films I've seen in the last 20 years, and they both are just amazing. So I really, really appreciated it. And when I was doing my review with Josh, I couldn't help but think of all the times Alan and I were talking about Avatar, and how it's going to be compared to Wakanda Forever. Because that was another underwater civilization, and how did they pull it off? And Wakanda Forever looked like people that were holding their breath underwater, and Avatar 2 did not. So,
wow,
yeah,
waves, levels above that film in terms of the technology to pull that kind of stuff off.
Don't worry, Devin. I will make you watch it in time for Avatar 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
I was gonna say. Now
we're going to be in the retirement home by 4 comes out, so we'll be okay.
I was going to say, are you both okay to watch 36 more of these movies based on this?
Yes, well, maybe not 36 more, but from listening to interviews with James Cameron and like the notes that he got on the sequel scripts, like for this one, the studio came back with like 3 pages of notes. Avatar 3, they had 1 page of notes. Avatar 4, the note was "holy fuck."
Really?
And that was the notes. Like, that was the notes for Avatar 4.
They finished the scripts through 5. They finished the scripts. They've sent it to the studio. They've sent it to the cast. They've already filmed all of 3, and they've already filmed the opening scene of 4. Yeah. So,
holy cow.
Yeah.
He fully believes that 3 will be out by Christmas of 2024. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're not going to be waiting another 13 years for it. So.
No.
Ryan,
but it does depend.
I'm just thinking about it. I mean,
it's a commitment.
Well, it's not just that. It's like this amazing thing happened to a lot of us like 12 years ago, and then 13 years later, like we're gonna get 3 more dropped on us within the span of like 5 years. It sounds. It's just it's a little surprising, shocking. Like that's that's why I'm having my reaction I am. I'm just
Okay.
like, oh, okay, 12 years, and now, oh, look, here's 3 more.
Yeah.
I think my last thing is I'm almost disappointed that you guys loved it as much as you did, because I found one reviewer that said, and I quote, Avatar 2 is finally here, and it's like being waterboarded with turquoise cement.
Okay, stop. Devin,
It's
you
like
always
if
do
I
this.
wrote an article.
You always do this. You have 2 people that you know that you trust and respect on their opinions telling you that they liked a movie, and you're like, but I read this bad review that was less than a sentence long on the internet.
I wanted to know if you guys agreed with the sentence I read, because the sentence is hilarious. I don't even know if the review liked it or not. That's just the title.
I'm going to take that he didn't like it.
It's a lot. I mean, there is a lot of turquoise. Like that is a fair.
It's in the water. Yeah.
That is accurate.
There is a lot of negative press around it too, but there's always been negative press around big feature films. Somebody pointed out, even back in Titanic, there was negative press around there, and they didn't think that would do well. And
if you want to hear more about negative press, stay tuned for the end of the show. So, Devin,
I would strongly recommend it though.
I also recommend it, especially if you can go to see it in the theater. I might go see it again in 3D. But Devin, what did you watch this week?
I, after years, finally finished The Good Place. I do this thing with TV shows where if I really love the TV show, I just won't watch the last half of the last season.
You're one of those.
I am, because I just don't want to let go of the characters. And I was just in a place this week where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to forking do this. And I did it, and it's so good. Guys, first off, who here's actually seen The Good Place?
Me.
Is that it? Just Alan? Oh, okay. So,
I know what it is, but I've never watched it.
So the conceit of The Good Place is essentially that this lady, Eleanor Shellstrop, who is Kristen Bell, dies and gets sent to this place called The Good Place. And in the middle of it, you find out that she's actually been mistaken for another Eleanor Shellstrop who was actually a good person. She's not good enough to make it in The Good Place. So she has to essentially fake being good enough to deserve to be there so she doesn't get sent to the bad place. It's brilliant. It talks a lot about philosophy and philosophical concepts and how they play out, not only in kind of grand theological terms, but also on Earth. And they also just really make you like the characters to the point where, like, the last episode, I think was like an hour and a half or something. It was an extended last episode. I think I cried on 3 separate occasions during the finale. It is so good. It's one of the better endings to a TV show that I think I've ever seen. I cannot recommend it enough.
I will say that it's one of the better shows of the last 5 years.
Really?
I feel like it doesn't get talked about by like anyone for some reason.
This is from Mike Schur, who was behind Parks and Recreation and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's very bingeable. Like, this show is made to be binged because each episode follows one another. Like, they're in chapters. So I don't want to say much.
Ted Danson in it?
Ted Danson.
God or something? Or is he?
He's the manager of The Good Place.
Okay.
So
that's all I knew about it was Kristen Bell and Ted Danson.
And then to sum up the show, Jeremy Blair me. That's all I have to say.
So mad. Perfect. No, the show's phenomenal. It's way more clever than it has any right to be, and there's enough twists and turns that, like, if a season ever starts to feel like it's dragging and you go, okay, they're going to be doing this for a whole season, I don't know that I'm down for it. Like, they kind of feel when it's right to change tack, and they change it enough that, like, it keeps it fresh and interesting the whole time. And it's not long. Like, it's, 4 seasons or something like that. Like, it's definitely worth the watch.
It definitely doesn't overstay its welcome. It's finite. It knows what the story it's going to tell, and it tells it without filler. So
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. I love it.
All right, Ryan, what did you? That's high praise. Ryan, what'd you watch? I hope I pulled the right poster for this.
I hope so too. I'm not even looking, so I'm just gonna go with it. So this is a 2020 2022 film, so it came out actually December 1st of this year. It is a Norwegian film about trolls coming back to life. Think Godzilla in Norway with a troll. It's fun. It's hysterical. They definitely made the troll a little bit too troll looking to be. It was almost a little comical. But this movie came out on the heels. Well, not really heels, because that one came out. Another film came out a few years ago. That was also Norwegian, called Troll Hunters.
That's
which
what
was,
I thought you watched.
Which is an amazing movie. This movie is a good follow-up. It's not better than Troll Hunters, but if you're looking for a monster film to watch and something that's silly, I highly recommend this. It's got elements of, was it like 1997 Godzilla mixed with like an old school classic Godzilla film, and I'm only making this Godzilla reference so much because I don't know what else to describe a giant monster that comes romping into a city.
Sure.
But there is also a moment where my wife and I almost kind of cried towards the end, because they definitely make you feel for the troll. They definitely, even though he's rock, they definitely make him show emotion, have emotion. But you get all of that with occasional lines in the script like this. Are you crying? The other person? It's my pine allergy. I'm allergic to forests. So I mean, like I said, it's lighthearted, but it's fun. If you're looking for like a monster disaster movie, I highly recommend this.
Is it a sequel to Troll Hunter?
I don't believe it's a sequel. I think what happened was that Troll Hunters came out, and they saw that it did really well, so they were like, well, let's do more of like a in-depth like troll monster movie. And you could definitely tell that the creators of this, I think anyway, because of the similarities that I see to like a Godzilla film, I really feel like they were like, let's take Godzilla, make him a troll, and just go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I Googled, are they connected? And the answer that I got is almost like offended that I asked.
Yeah.
They said, you're probably asking because they're both Norwegian and have troll in the title. No, they're not the same. I'm like, okay, calm down.
Your sass back there, Google.
Yeah, it was a real question. Thanks.
In the chat, friend of the show Bill says you call a movie with like a large monster like that Pacific Rim.
You know what? Interesting enough, I haven't seen that movie.
Yeah, me neither.
Me neither.
It's based on so many other films. You call Pacific Rim a Godzilla movie.
Well, I mean, like, I saw the trailers for it. I like animes with giant robots, the whole like Gundam thing. Like, I like that.
Kaiju and stuff,
I just don't really know how well I would like that in like a live action concept, because
it works out so well in live action.
Exactly. So I mean, like Gundam, Evangelion. I mispronounced that, but anyway. It's better when it's animated. It's better when it's drawn. When it's live action, it's kind of like, I know this is set like 500 years in the future, possibly, but I don't see hydraulics working that well.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it's got Charlie Day in it, so it's good enough.
It's just a name to me.
Speaking of Charlie Day, with this troll movie, was there a toll to get into the boy's soul in this? Or is that not relevant?
Okay, so they do have to say for one of these, for this movie, they do have a character that's an older man who like knows all about classic troll lore and myth, and he's seen as like the crazy one until it's shown that he's been right the whole time.
I love that character.
So they do go down that road a bit, but but the woman that you see a lot in the like advertisement for the movie, the crazy guy is her dad.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So
like classic
I keep
horror
seeing it on
movie,
Netflix. It's on my list to watch.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, don't watch it with subtitles though, because they don't line up with what's being said.
Okay.
For
we had
being
this
dubbed.
conversation back with the last movie we talked about. So yeah.
We will always have this conversation.
Yeah.
I got good.
So I have one question about Troll. Does it end with him buying Twitter?
Oh, dropping bombs out.
Oh,
Yeah, you don't have to answer that. Don't answer that.
Funny,
oh wait, we're not on Twitter. We're not on Twitter. So
I don't think there's any social media in the movie.
Unrealistic. Not watching it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's also Norway. Who knows?
Okay.
They're just getting the 80s now.
All right. Well, that does it for our We Watch This segment. Let's get into today's main topic, the holiday film, holiday classic, directed by Tim Burton, Batman Returns. This film stars Michael Keaton, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Danny DeVito, as you can see here in this picture. But this is my pick for the week. Devin has never seen this, so I want to start off by asking Ryan and Josh, what are your first memories of Batman Returns?
Josh, do you want to go first?
Oh, I want to hear your thoughts.
Okay. I did not see this in theaters. I saw it on home video first. I remember finding it weird. And I don't have as many favorite individual moments in this movie as I did the first one. But I definitely liked, as a kid, I loved the toys from this one more than I liked from the first one. I'll watch this movie maybe once in a blue moon, mainly put it on as background noise, and then during the parts I really like, I pay attention to it. And this time viewing it, actually sitting down and watching it because I'm going to talk about it, oh, my opinion's changed.
Josh, how about you?
Yeah, I was too young to see this in the theaters. I saw it on a ripped VHS that was recorded off TV, so I did not see the full R-rated version for many years. But yeah, I mean, this was from that era of R-rated films or very adult films that had toys for kids when the films themselves were not kid friendly, and even the TV version that I saw, I never liked it. I really never liked it. I thought this was some bizarro world Batman. I did like Batman 89, but I always felt that Tim Burton just went too far with this, and apparently the studios did too, which is why things changed for the third Batman film. As I grew up, I learned to now that's with the caveat that I had a crush on Catwoman all throughout my childhood, so that I did like that part of it. But growing up, I eventually formed an affinity for it, but I do consider this not as good of a Batman film as Batman 89, just because it felt like they just, they let Tim Burton go a little too far with this one. But I've got good memories with it for sure.
Yeah. I remember my neighbors would babysit us a lot, and they owned a bunch of VHS tapes, and my sister would always want to watch Batman Returns. I don't know why, but that's like my main memory of this movie. Like, I associate this with my sister. But we would watch this. You guys know my favorite Batman movie from the 90s is Batman Forever. I enjoy this one though. This is one that I'll watch every year this time of year. Just because of the holiday setting, and my wife loves the Michael Keaton Batman movies. I collect things from all 4 of those movies. As you can see, I'm drinking out of a Batman Returns cup from McDonald's. If you haven't picked up on that yet, I've got more behind me.
There's so much good merchandise around this film back then. Yeah.
I've got more behind me here. So
I love that.
That's good stuff.
But yeah, I enjoy this film for things. I enjoy it for the score, the Danny Elfman. Like it's more Batman. I have issues with it as well, which we will get into. But I'm very curious to hear what your thoughts are, Devin, on Batman Returns.
So I have a weird history with this movie. I have two distinct memories of it. The first one is that my favorite video game growing up was the 1993 Super Nintendo game Batman Returns. I played it all the time, like from a lad until now, to the point where like I didn't know that any of the things that happened in it were like things that happened in an actual movie. I never really connected. And I was doing a live stream of it once that Alan was on, and I got to the part where Catwoman goes, saved by kitty litter. And I went, there's no way that happens in the movie. And Alan goes, of course it does.
Yeah.
And I went, oh. So that's memory number one. Memory number two is the only scene in this movie I've ever seen is when Selena Kyle, all mad, and she's walking through her apartment, and she smashes 2 letters on her hello there sign, and it turns into hell here. And I went, that is so clever. And I must have been like 10 when I saw it. I was like, that is so cool. And then stopped watching the movie completely.
You see, a lot of people have moments like that and then get obsessed with Tim Burton for life. So,
you know what?
They make that their personality.
It's very that aesthetic is, that's very much Tim Burton for sure.
That's fair. So I'm going to say 2 things about the movie. First off, I'll in broad terms, and we'll talk more. I was not ready for how weird this movie was. Sorry, 3 things. I wasn't ready for how weird this movie was. I wasn't ready for how little, like, Bruce Wayne and Batman are in this movie, and how really little they had to do in any part of it, which I thought was really interesting. And I'm kind of on, like, the Penguin side of all of this. Like, I think he's the real victim here, and we'll just have to talk that. Oh, yeah. We'll just have to talk that out the whole time.
Okay, yeah.
I was firmly in his corner.
I think I know your mindset.
Yeah.
And if it's where I think it's going, I can agree with you on it. I just can't
let's save that for
let's
save it for later.
Yeah.
Is that why it's called Batman Returns though? Because he is rarely on screen, and every time he does come on screen, it's like,
hey, return.
It might be
returning to the film. Yeah.
It makes more sense than the title Batman Forever. The only 2 titles in that franchise that make sense are Batman, because it's about Batman, and Batman and Robin, because it's about Batman and Robin. But Forever and Returns both don't make any sense. Even Batman Triumphant didn't really make sense, and luckily that one didn't get made.
Batman Triumphant.
Oh, good callback. Thank you.
So, Devin, you mentioned that this movie is weird. What weirded you out about Batman Returns?
Yeah, but so I was ready for like.
Or is it easier to say what's not weird about it?
Yes.
What caught your eye?
I was ready for the Tim Burton aesthetic. I don't know that I was ready for it like at 11. Like I knew from the video game that like at a point the present explodes and like a person comes out of the present. I wasn't ready for like a whole circus to come out of the present. And like there were just like so many like weird little plot points where I'm like, why is this what we've decided to do here? Like the point of the movie that made me so uncomfortable that I was like, I might just stop watching this movie is when they take almost naked Penguin in the middle of eating a fish, like a raw fish, and they go, "You're running for mayor now." And I went, what is this scene? And then he's like, oh, I'm like, I might stop this movie. I mean, I liked it. It was good. Like, I don't have a bad thing, but like, it is so weird.
That scene, I think, developed my like anxiety disorder when it comes to watching movies, to where I either need to fast forward the scene to see how that plays out and like ends so I can go back and watch it, or just get up and leave the room. Like, it is that like that whole scenario is just so uncomfortable for me.
I have another weird question about how weird this movie is, and this isn't meant to sound offensive, but I've seen Michael Keaton act in a few things now, especially lately. Was he doing a duck face in the movie, or was that just what his face looked like in '92? Because like I swear to God, the first like 4 scenes you see him in, his lips are like pursed in the weirdest kind of way. That I'm like, are you making a face? Did Alfred give you a lemon?
I think that's his brooding face.
Okay, got it.
That's how he broods. But it's iconic because you look at any fan art of Michael Keaton's Batman, and he has that going.
Yeah.
I'm literally Googling fan art now.
He even has it a little bit on the art for Batman '89 on the back here.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yep, he's got the.
I can see it now. Yeah.
It's the lippy brood. I wasn't ready for the lippy brood. Okay.
Josh and Ryan, anything stick out to you guys that was weird on this watch through?
For me, like I said, I have not actually sat down and purposely paid attention 100% all the way through the film. I didn't realize how sexual this movie was. Like, I knew there were lines. I knew that it happened occasionally. I didn't think it happened in every single scene.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's one thing that stood out to me. And I think it was the scene where they're going, where it was a Catwoman and the Penguin are going back and forth at each other in Penguin's apartment. And right before she spits out the bird, like, I remember saying to myself, like, I don't remember any of these lines. What is this? Like, I don't.
Yeah.
This movie is so horny.
It is. It really is.
It's horny and gross, though. Like, it's not like you can't get into it because every time it's like, oh, okay, Selena's doing her thing, and then it's like, and the Penguin is there, just an ugly, grotesque form, you know.
And to be fair, I think there were some moments of that in Batman with the Joker, but it doesn't come off as creepy because you got Jack Nicholson grinning like this the whole time.
Right. Yeah.
So I think it's still there, but Jack Nicholson's not wearing black rubber latex. So
well, yeah. I mean,
sadly,
that, and when he does it, it's to like 11 in the first Batman movie. So it is there. It's just, I feel like with the way they had the Penguin character in this, and the way that they had Catwoman's character in this, I feel like the amount of like low level in comments were a lot more than 89, even if the amount of like in your face comments were about the same. It's just it was just like it was just
a few more like passing comments.
I needed hand sanitizer after watching this. It was just icky. Like,
there's some icky parts. Like, Danny DeVito had a lot of gross stuff in his mouth, like through most of the movie.
Yes. Always eating something, always chewing, or something falling out of his mouth, or Is
that like a common trait of the Penguins? I don't think I've seen that in any other iteration of it.
There's nothing common about
no.
His characters.
One of the things that Tim Burton got a lot of flack for this movie was the design of the Penguin, because you had the toy companies, so Kenner and then McDonald's were like, how do we make that a toy? So like all of the marketing, like if you look at this here, like he's in the top hat and
in the
tuxedo.
Suit. Yeah.
Because they couldn't do what Tim Burton did. Like every toy for the Penguin is him in the top hat and tuxedo, like as a penguin, like in the penguin suit.
That's one of the reasons why I didn't like it growing up, because my Penguin was, you know, this businessman, this gangster that ran the ice club, or the whatever the club
Iceberg Lounge.
Iceberg Lounge. I couldn't appreciate it. I was like, this is just some madman like doing a super on the nose Penguin. And then same way, I didn't like the portrayal of Catwoman being actually saved by cats. You know, I just thought it was I thought it was weird growing up. Now I do look at it with affection, because it's like the last non-commercial Batman thing we've ever got. Because if anything, Joel Schumacher's was hard in the other direction, like super commercial, super family friendly, super toy friendly. Well, maybe not family friendly, but more toys, more more on the nose stuff, and I'm sure they had a lot of studio notes, but from everything I've ever read about the behind the scenes of this movie, it was just Tim Burton just on crack, just going hard with whatever he wanted to do. And the studio was like, what beast did we unleash?
So since you brought up Tim Burton being Tim Burton, can you guys think of anything Tim Burton that is this level of Tim Burton-esque?
No.
His stop animation stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
outside of that.
Yeah.
So what is that? Corpse Bride and Frankenweenie? Was he? Because I don't count.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
I mean, he wrote that. He didn't do that though. His name's on it.
I guess Beetlejuice.
Is Mars Attacks on this level? Mars Attacks might be.
Mars Attacks is.
It's a different genre. But
it's a different genre. It's a retro art deco kind of instead of like the gothic.
Yeah, like Mars Attacks was it had his style, but it was like taking its elements from all of the 50s sci-fi movies.
Yeah.
So like this, like Batman Returns, like the like quarter block sized Gotham set that they made for this movie that they used in every outdoor shot they could. That wasn't the zoo. Like that, like if Tim Burton has a pleasant dream, that's the background for the pleasant dream.
I mean, that set's a 10 out of 10. Like, I want to live in that set. That set is so cool looking.
Yeah, he brought the gothic.
Yeah.
I mean, he tripled down on the gothic.
Oh, yeah.
The one, so one of the other things that stood out to me on this, like, watch through and, like, preparing for this, I'm not really, I don't really like the amount of supernatural in this.
There definitely was.
Yeah, because
I didn't like that either.
Yeah, like you mentioned before about the cats. Like, she gets saved by the cats, and like they gnaw on her fingers and walk all over her body, and then she's got like zombie makeup on coming back into her apartment, and she's like, her brain is like rebooting pretty much. And it's like, okay, the cat's brought her back to life, and then you throw the penguin in on it and the things that he can do and the like communication he has with the actual penguins and able to get, like wild animals to do what he wants at a whim, even with the radio signal on their little helmets. Like, still, like, it was just, the whole, emperor penguins coming out of the back and like, doing the funeral march, dragging him into the water. Like, it was just like, that's like leave that in the cartoon Batman stuff.
You say cartoon Batman, but growing up, I preferred Sub-Zero over this so much because I thought the cartoon version, they always release like a cartoon movie with the major, and I thought the Sub-Zero cartoon movie was more faithful to Batman than the on-screen one, was. So, but again, I can, I didn't understand. As a kid, I was like, who the hell is this Max Shrek guy, and what is his deal?
Yeah.
Why are we giving him so much time and attention?
Well, let's talk about Max Shrek, because I have a question in the chat here. Again, friend of the show, Bill. Would the movie have been better if Christopher Walken's character was Two-Face origin instead? Max Shrek was originally supposed to be Harvey Dent.
What?
In an early draft of this, it wasn't Max Shrek. Billy D. Williams was going to come back, and they were going to do Two-Face's origin. So instead of having the Max Shrek character be in there, like, Bruce Wayne, why you dressed as Batman? It would have been Billy D. Williams drinking Colt 45s. I
knew that Billy D. Williams was supposed to be Two-Face, but I thought that was always saved for the third film. I didn't know this thing with Shrek choosing that over Billy D. So that's interesting.
Yeah, so at the end, instead of dying, he would have been, I guess he would have been disfigured and...
okay.
So...
That
and
is way cooler.
Chat just told me that my Christopher Walken impression has gotten better, so thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that would have been way cooler because I didn't. I mean, is Shrek like a character in Batman in any other iteration? But
nope.
That's good to know. Okay. Good.
He was so infuriatingly evil in this that like it almost got to the point where I'm like, dude, like do anything different. Like every single scene, he's just like, what's the evilest I can be here now? And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Not to mention his like I still don't understand what his plan was with the power plant. So you're gonna take all the city and what? Yeah. Like just hoard it? Like who are you gonna sell that to? Back to Gotham?
Profits.
So brainstorming.
Yeah.
The studio doesn't kick Tim Burton off the project. They decide to just go with an adult line, of a focused adult, line of Batman movies.
Yeah.
I could see it working out that he is hoarding the power for his brother because it's Tim Burton, and obviously he's not sticking to pure, comic book lore on this. So you can do kind of whatever you want. Make his brother Sub-Zero, and he's hoarding the power for his lab.
You mean Mr. Freeze?
Mr. Freeze, yeah, sorry, Sub-Zero.
That seems like way more thought than they would put into something like this, though.
Yeah, but like I said, other movies coming down the line, Tim Burton.
Not to mention, though, Mr. Freeze was not the Mr. Freeze we know in 1992 when this movie came out. Like this is just before Batman the Animated Series debuted. This came out in June. Yeah, June. And Batman the Animated Series is like August, September. So that's where you get the origin story for Mr. Freeze with Nora Freeze being sick. Like that's where that story comes from. It's a great episode called Heart of Ice. Yeah. So even if they wanted to have something planned like that, Ryan, that lore isn't there yet because you didn't have Paul Dini and Bruce Timm working on it.
It could have been behind the scenes. Yeah. I'm still going to go with that.
It's just such, I don't know. He had such a weird plot and I don't know. And so if we can, I'd like to transition over to Penguin quick.
Yeah.
Am I the only one that I thought Penguin was almost nothing but the victim in this movie. So it starts with him being thrown out as a baby, which is sad. He gets Prince of Egypt into a sanctuary of penguins. Who
again, not a thing in 1992, but I guess the Bible was. So go ahead.
I guess the Bible existed in 92. We'll have to fact check that with Barnes and Noble.
I mean, we're talking 30 years ago. A lot's changed.
But as an adult, he just wants to find out who his parents are. He just wants to take back some of his birthright and not be a penguin his entire life. And then he pops up and this Michael Shrek guy is like, hey, I'm gonna manipulate you, haha. And he's pushed into a series of uncomfortable situations that for somebody who doesn't quite understand how social situations work just seems to kind of make sense.
Okay, so this is not the direction I thought you were going, so no.
Oh, what did you think?
Oh, okay.
So I mean, partly you did, but then you took the left at the fork, and I mentally was going the right. Okay, so first off, as far as I'm concerned, his plan from the beginning is to kill all of the firstborn in Gotham.
Oh yeah, it is.
So him trying to find his parents and
is all kind of a cover for all of that.
It's all a cover for him to use the media and everything to his advantage. Everything he does in that regard, as far as I'm concerned, was planned
for that plan.
Is prior to Shrek or whoever coming down and going, hey, I can help you with this, and the Penguin's like, oh yeah, sure, you're gonna use me or I'm gonna use you. So I feel like he's a victim in the fact that if, Pee Wee Herman and the waitress that he met on his cross-country trip would have actually, stayed his parents instead of dumping them over a bridge, be better off. He wouldn't be this homicidal maniac. I mean...
I mean, I'm willing to accept that it was a bad read of the movie for me to not catch that, he was planning this firstborn thing all along.
I mean, you got hit with the cobblepot. It's okay.
His plan also seems a bit Bible-y. Are we sure it wasn't out in the 80s?
I'm not touching that one.
Good.
No, his plan, like, right, like, it definitely is, like, he's using Shrek just like Shrek is using him, sure. And then they both are each other's downfall in the end. Yeah. Devin, you mentioned, or Ryan, you mentioned Pee Wee Herman and the Waitress. Do you know who they tried to get to play Penguin's father in this?
Oh, who?
Burgess Meredith.
And you're gonna have to give me examples. Sorry.
He played the Penguin in the Adam West Batman.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
But I don't think he wasn't available either because he was sick or he was making Grumpy Old Men. I like to think that it was Grumpy Old Men.
Yeah, that to me is Penguin.
Yeah.
Like, I saw the Adam West Batman series when I was really young, before even seeing 89 or remembering seeing 89 in this movie. So, like, that's my baseline for, like, the live action Batman villains, especially Catwoman.
So is the 2022 Batman Penguin, like, more it for the both of you then? Because that seems like more in line with exactly how you described Penguin.
Yeah, I mean, for the feel of the last Batman movie, that's a good Penguin.
Okay.
Are you talking about the 2022?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was born in '86, and the Batman Renaissance came in the late '80s. With Batman Year One, they went hard in this more turning him less flamboyant and less, just fun and more dark and brooding and detective, and Gotham's a shithole and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And while Batman Year One was not necessarily canon, but it definitely kind of kicked off this new look and all over feel for Batman. So when they started doing Penguin, he wasn't silly, he wasn't stupid, he was just as smart and interesting as the other ones. He just had this aesthetic about him, and people usually used it to misjudge him. So that's the Penguin that I grew up on, which is why I had a hard time connecting with this until later when I could see it as a like an alternate version. But Catwoman I loved in this film for the most part, with the exception of her origin change. I mean, the meow scene in the department store, the fact that she did all the whips herself, and just all of that was like, okay, that is the mindset, and that is how I would think of a real life Catwoman at times. I love those scenes.
I want to go back to the Catwoman origin for a second, because you guys have talked about it being something supernatural. I think she just has a head injury. I think those cats were feral and hungry and licking her for something to eat. And if she hadn't woken up, they would probably have eaten her. But I think I don't look at that as something supernatural. I can see where you guys do, but I think the most supernatural thing in this is Danny DeVito's appearance. Or Christopher Walken's accent. I don't know.
So in Alan's mind, if you're lacking confidence and you're not super into yourself, just get pushed out a tall building and fall on the cement, and then you will gain confidence and become this totally other person. How do you think she survived?
It's like each movie in this series of the franchise is about somebody falling. Joker falls in a pit of acid. She falls out a window. Riddler pushes his boss out of a window and becomes the Riddler. Mr. Freeze falls into a vat of cold stuff and becomes Mr. Freeze. Like,
okay, sure.
The thesis of these movies is don't fall.
It's just, for me, it's the height. Like, Devin, as a joke, when Alan said that, that fell, Devin looked to his left to look at the window in his apartment, and I'm willing to bet that your apartment building is not as high as Shrek's office was in that building.
It's 8 stories, but I don't have Indiana Jones-esque awnings to fall through on the way down.
That's what saves her.
Through like 3. Yeah. She only
Still
fell through 3, and you're talking higher than the was it like Big Ben? Because I guarantee she fell a greater distance than Big Ben.
I think it's what saved her, though. It slowed her roll.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. She landed with a concussion. I think it's very fitting that we've spent a good chunk of this podcast not talking about Michael Keaton in this movie because he's barely in it.
He's barely in it.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Michael Keaton's Batman, because Devin, this is the second Michael Keaton Batman movie we've had you watch. What do you think of his performance as Bruce Wayne in Batman?
Fine for like the 2 scenes he was in. I thought he was totally fine. Like I thought that I don't know that I'm sold on his Bruce Wayne in like much the same way as I was in '89. I like that Bruce Wayne a bit better. This one was just, I don't know. It was like he was almost slapstick in this, like with the whole like
record scratch of the CD.
Oh my gosh! Like a lot of his stuff that he does is just like silly. I don't know.
Well, I mean, he's been Batman for a while. You know, there's really no more character development at that point. Needs to be done with him. And I feel like
in Tim Burton's eyes, yeah.
I mean, like, and to be honest, the most he acted in this, and I truly mean this, the most he acted was 2 scenes. When he tells Alfred that he really hopes the Penguin finds his parents, and when he's Batman trying to hit the button on the on the Batmobile for the sides to blow off so he doesn't ram into a brick wall. Those were his 2 most like strongest acting performances in this movie, because his other scenes didn't need it.
I gotta disagree there. Like I think I think one of the best parts of this movie is the chemistry between him and Michelle Pfeiffer. Like the whole Mistletoe is deadly if you can eat it, but a kiss can be even deadlier if you mean it. Like the chemistry between them, like the sexual tension is there and like in your face.
But it's also there with like Penguin and 4 or 5 of the Penguins.
Yes, I mean that's kind of where I was going to go with that. I mean,
we're all over the place tonight, aren't we? Like
we really are.
take any A-list actor around Michael Keaton's age in 1992 and put them next to that Catwoman, and they'll find the chemistry. I guarantee they'll find the chemistry. That's not going to be a problem. Because her acting is phenomenal in this. She does an excellent job. And I really feel that really any trained actor could pull off that same dynamic as long as she's going at 11. Is in her effort that she did in this.
I didn't think the romance got as much attention as like the Vicky Vale and Bruce Wayne did in the first film. Keaton didn't have you want to get nuts, let's get nuts type scene in this film. It really felt like Tim Burton just got bored with Bruce Wayne and Batman as a character, and so he was more. Which, I mean, it makes sense, but he was more interested in the villains, and so this was more of a villain story, and Batman was just brought in when needed.
Yeah, and this started the trend of 2 villains per Batman movie. So, which is something I don't think we've gotten away from.
2.5 villains, too. I mean, depends on how much of a villain Shrek was. But
I thought you were going to say Danny DeVito for the half.
Oh yeah.
And then I was gonna say that it's okay. The army of penguins made up for the other half of his height. So the army of penguins.
But there was even less Batman kills in this. People always like when Ben Affleck came on the scene as Batman and killed some dudes, they're like, Batman doesn't kill, and did you forget?
He does.
Batman killed 17 people in the first Batman film, but he only kills 3 in this one. But he has that epic one where he takes the bomb and stuffs it down the strong man's pants or whatever, and
Yeah.
blows him up.
Oh, and the smile on his face is where that meme comes from.
Yeah.
Yes.
I absolutely love that
So-
clip because it is the most psychotic smile that I've ever seen a Batman pull.
I'm glad you brought this up because I had a conversation with my wife while we were watching this about Batman killing in this. And I was like, well, they kind of address that in the next one. It's like the only continuity between Returns and Forever besides Gordon and Alfred.
How did they address it? I don't remember this.
So there's a moment where after Robin finds out that Bruce Wayne is Batman, and he's like, I can help you. You can help me train to kill Two-Face. And Val Kilmer's Bruce Wayne says, sure, I'll help you. I'll train you to kill Harvey. You take his life, and then you take another life, and you take another. And before you know it, you don't know what you're doing anymore. Like you forget why you started. And like, if you look at it, like you look at that speech and look at this movie, like, and Batman, like he kills the Joker at the end, because he's responsible for killing the Joker. And then you look at him escalating the kills in this one. Like you can see like the moment at the end there with Selina where he's telling her to back down. Like that's the moment where he goes back to, this is why I'm doing it. Is not to take a life, but to save lives.
I feel like you're adding depth to this movie that doesn't exist.
I'm adding depth. If anything, I'm adding depth to Batman Forever, which needs it.
Okay. Because I mean, like, just how casual he does kill some perps, and they're all like low level dudes. But yeah, like, oh, here's a bomb, bam, there you go. Like no second thought, and people forget about that a lot. But yeah. I mean, I thought it was cool as a kid, but yeah, it's he killed a lot of dudes in the Tim Burton films for sure.
I mean, he had a really cool entrance, though. I will say that, like, that entrance as Batman was awesome, even though he was killing a few dudes. Like, it was exactly what you wanted to see. I think the only real complaint I have about like him as Batman or anything is when he like takes his mask off.
I knew this was gonna come up.
I wasn't ready for it to be like a latex peel. I think.
Oh yeah, just the tail.
Yeah, so awkward. Like, I wanted like mask, like I've always seen, not like rubber
cowl
detached
or whatever.
Oh, it's weird. Yeah.
I thought, okay, so again, you went a different direction. I thought you were going to, based on your history. I thought it was going to be the fact that like he has eye black on, and then he pulls the mask off, and then it's gone.
He doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like he
brought that up too.
Like he turns back, and the eye makeup's gone. Then he comes back, and it's completely gone. Like there's like two frames of him without the eye makeup on under the cowl.
That's more of like that's more commentary on the technical history of the Batman suit in Batman movies than a plot hole. Because I mean, I'm trying. We saw a little bit of that in the Nolan films. We definitely see the black eye makeup in the new Pattinson film. But that's always been a thing. They're like, does he have black eye makeup? If not, how does he look like that? And yeah. And they always had issues with the Batman suit in those first few films. That's one of the reasons Val Kilmer didn't come back, because he said it was miserable playing as Batman. Wow. He said that the Batman suit in Forever, he couldn't hear anything in it, so people just didn't talk to him between scenes, and he felt so lonely on set, and he hated it. So that's part of that. Yeah,
I'm so sad about that.
Well, since we're on the topic of Val Kilmer. Obviously, this was Michael Keaton's last go at Batman in the 90s. Val Kilmer took over and then was replaced by George Clooney. But we will be seeing Michael Keaton as Batman again. How excited are you guys to see Michael Keaton in next year's Flash as Bruce Wayne and Batman?
Will we? Because at this point, I don't know if we will. Every time we hear about a Batman Keaton project, it keeps on getting canceled or pushed back.
This is one that is picture locked and set to come out in theaters. Don't know if that means it's going to get unlocked and change. They're going to change. We'll talk about this in a second. But potentially, how excited are you guys to see Michael Keaton return as Batman in a movie that's not called Batman Returns?
To be fair, it is the only reason I want to watch that movie. I think that I don't care enough about The Flash. I don't care enough about anything else but Michael Keaton as Batman. And if I watch that movie, it will be for that reason. Like, because it's enough of a draw for me.
it's enough of a draw for me to make me more interested than anything DC Marvel that's been coming out the past couple years, to the point where when that movie hits whatever streaming platform it lands on, I'll watch it then.
I would
to see Michael Keaton as Batman.
No, I'd see it in theaters.
I'm hoping for the best. Like I feel like I got a slight return of the Keaton Batman in Birdman a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That was definitely a wink and a nod towards that. I just wonder, because it's him, is it the Tim Burton version of him? Is it him but different, just the same face but different style of there's so many ways you could do it. Ever since Batman Beyond was a thing, I've always wanted Keaton's version of Old Man Bruce Wayne, because I feel like he's got the grit and he's got the scowl and everything for that, But yeah, I hope it's good. I mean,
yeah,
I heard the Batgirl movie was terrible and they scrapped it, and we were supposed to get him in that, and so maybe that was to save us from a horrible movie with him coming back in it that wasn't worthy of the Keaton return.
That's the most charitable read on that I think I've ever heard.
Well, we were never going to see the Batgirl movie before the Flash. The Flash was going to happen, and then.
Oh really?
Then
I've
Batgirl was
lost
supposed to come
track
out.
of the order of this. They've
there's been so much, like outside of the recent news, there's been so much drama with the Flash, with Ezra Miller, which we're not going to get into here. There's other things we need to talk about in regards to DC's in the news. But yeah, I'm confident that this movie will come out, and I think this is a great jumping off point for James Gunn and David Safran to take the ending of The Flash and set up what they are doing with DC Studios going forward. Because if you're doing a Flashpoint type movie, you can pretty much do anything at the end of that and reset your universe. Because that's what they've done before in the comics. They've done it in the animated movies, and I think it can go well here. Devin and Ryan, how aware are you of everything going on with DC films at the moment?
Devin, you go first.
So I know that James Gunn's directing them, or that he's kind of in charge of it all.
Yes. And David Safran.
I know that Henry Cavill's not returning as Superman, even though I think he probably totally would have. I saw a quick snippet of an article where apparently he's now talking about getting Gal Gadot out of Wonder Woman, and getting somebody else into that role. But I guess it's going to be more of a connected, cohesive universe, much like the Marvel movies are, and that's really all I know.
Ryan, do you know anything?
That was pretty much pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. All right. So let's touch on some of the things Devin said. James Gunn and David Safran are pretty much playing the Kevin Feige role for DC. So they will be overseeing building this cinematic universe or rebuilding it. And part of that means they're scrapping a lot of things. Wonder Woman 3 is no longer happening with Patty Jenkins. James Gunn came out today and said no one ever said we got rid of Gal Gadot. So there's nothing.
He said no one. He said I never fired Gal Gadot. I think he's trying to save face, but I don't think she's coming back.
Henry Cavill did return as Superman in Black Adam for the post-credit scene,
and was told that wasn't the end of it.
Yeah, it was told he was coming back for Superman, and then last week had a meeting with Gunn and Safran, and is no longer playing the character going forward. Josh, am I missing anything else?
I mean, there's been a lot of things made public about the cancellation, about we're not doing this anymore, we're going this. I think the sad thing is that it's so public. Everybody wants DC to be better. Unfortunately, we still have Flash, Aquaman, Shazam. We still have these projects that are yet to come out that are part of something that we are not continuing past that. They brought Safran and Gunn in to set everything anew and to start over. And unfortunately, all of their decisions to date have been very public, whether that's scrapping Batgirl or, you know, scrapping Wonder Woman and stuff like that. And it's hard for them to build the same people that are like, DC, you don't need to rush. You don't need to try to compete with the MCU. They want things to happen now, and they want you know, updates every other day. And even James Gunn is like, this is getting a little overwhelming. The negativity coming from the fans.
I've got his whole so part of the thing is James Gunn has been very open with everything on social media. He's like, people are asking him questions and he's answering them for as much as he can. But I think the downside of that is
taking it out of context.
They're taking it out of context. Because I can see there being a world where they reboot parts of this universe, but keep others. Like, you keep John Cena as Peacemaker, you keep Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, you replace Ezra Miller and Ben Affleck, but you can keep parts of it. You can do like a soft reboot, like Rebirth or the New 52. Keep the things that work, replace the things that don't. There's just been so much, and I forgot how many other projects there are besides The Flash coming out next year. You do have Shazam 2 and Aquaman 2 and like, you got like, I wouldn't be surprised thinking about it now, like if The Flash gets pushed back to after those movies just to do the reboot.
Not to mention, these films are setting things up. Like Dwayne The Rock Johnson just put out something finally today addressing that Black Adam sequel is not happening, and that you know, they're not doing that anymore. And that film just came out with big promises of, hey, you know, Henry Cavill's back and everything.
Have you watched Black Adam yet?
Yeah, and it's I'm not sad that we're not getting to see
that. It's not good.
Is it that bad?
It's
really?
It's
not good.
The best part, the movie is The Rock brooding in slow motion to songs that have the word black in the title.
He said that they've been working for 15 years to make this film.
Yeah.
This film would have felt slightly out of date 15 years ago. It does not match the tone or production level of current superhero films.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm not surprised. But that's the thing. We still have these movies coming out that are kind of, you know, connected to the current DC universe. And then they're bringing in James Gunn to make a new universe or to start anew. And everybody's just kind of getting lost. Like, is this happening? Is it not happening? There's a lot of confusion out there.
I think it will help clear things up once they have like a timeline of what films are coming out when.
They're supposed to present.
Yeah. They're supposed to present. Yeah. I think this week they're presenting.
Not externally.
Yeah. And I'm sure we'll hear something early next year about what the slate's going to look like. But James Gunn's been getting a lot of heat online. He had to release a statement about it, saying that criticism, like, what was his words exactly? Disrespectful outcry will never, ever affect our actions. We were aware that there would be a period of turbulence when we took this gig, and we knew we would have to make some difficult and not so obvious choices, especially in the wake of the nature of what came before us.
Yep. But James Gunn, I love him. He's got a crazy roller coaster of a career, and it's interesting that this is where he's at. I trust that him and Safran will put their best work into what they present. However, you don't see Kevin Feige addressing individual tweets from fans on Twitter with theories and stuff like that. That dude is high up, and he's so far removed from from feedback and from criticism from the individual person. James Gunn, I mean, if I had any advice for him, I'd be like, stop responding to these things because somebody accused him of firing firing Gal Gadot, and he goes, I never fired Gal Gadot, and then all these articles are like, Gal Gadot's still Wonder Woman, and then they had to come back and be like, that's not what I said. I just said we didn't fire her. It's all over the place.
I feel like James Gunn, I think one of the things I've always liked about him as a filmmaker is how open he has been on social media with stuff. Like he'd share like snippets of behind the scenes of the Guardians or like the scoring sessions, and you felt like you were there making the movie with them. But when it comes to this stuff, I really want him to rein it in and stop, not only for like the public's sake, but for his sake, because it's going to get to the point where he's just going to stop his social media altogether, and I don't want that.
We don't need the world judging his and Saffron's decisions before they even get made.
Correct.
They didn't hire him for a season. He's on for a long haul. It's going to take some hard work to transform the DC thing. And, we don't need every Tom, Dick and Harry weighing in on that every day because they're being so open about it. Keep some things behind closed doors. Let's get through these final movies and then show us a promising, path for the future.
Yeah.
But I don't need to know all the behind the scenes stuff. I'd prefer not to know.
Exactly.
And they did cancel another Batman movie that had Michael Keaton in it, and a lot of people thought that might have been a Batman Beyond movie. I don't think it was, but there was a lot of speculation behind that as well.
I don't know what else it would have been if it wasn't Batman Returns. And I don't think they canceled that. I think that was canceled before they took the reins.
Oh, sure.
Was it?
Yeah.
I know that they were supposed to be, Gunn and Saffron had a meeting with the director duo behind Batgirl to talk about possible future projects, and at least one of those directors is a huge Batman Beyond fan. I'd still be open for that, but I feel like they need direction, and
what I would love to see happen, and hopefully they go this route, because you have all of these actors who are available and wanting to do it, is do a Crisis event, do Crisis on Infinite Earths, and wrap up one universe and start a new one.
I feel like that's what the Flash movie will be. I feel like they're
they might have to rework it. But
I don't think we need another film. I think I'm dreading these final films. I just want them to be done because I don't want to hold on to anything and miss anything, and I just want to get to the next step.
But
the one thing that like this talk and like even watching this movie has made me realize is like genuinely how enduring these characters are. Like if you track Batman through his different on-screen iterations, I don't think any singular fictional character has been portrayed in so many vastly different ways and has succeeded in just about every single iteration. Like from like goofy Adam West to like Robert Pattinson and everything in between. Like people clearly want to still see Batman movies. Like they want to interact with the DC universe in some way.
Even this guy?
The nipples.
Why do you have
the
the
nipples
Taco
in the
Bell
car.
Poster?
That's an impressive collectible right there, Ron.
Good piece of
not only is it the Taco Bell thing from Batman Returns. Do you guys remember when Drew Carey won the Batmobile?
Yeah, I do.
This contest.
Oh wow. Wow. And it was a real Batmobile. It wasn't like a fake Harrier jet that Pepsi did earlier.
No, it was I mean, they filmed on the Warner Brothers lot, so they were just like, hey, can we borrow that for a minute? So.
Wow. You're right though. I do look back at this film fondly because it is just another interpretation of Batman, and I, there's things I don't like about it. There's things I do like about it. I always like the winter and the water aesthetic of it. I remember the first logo reveal of just like the white water coming in through the logo and everything of the Batman symbol, and there's a lot of cool things to like about this, and I do hold this film higher than a couple other films, but it is interesting when you think about how many versions of Batman we've got on screen, and how many we'll get in the future. And that is something that James Gunn has said, is that the new universe will be highly wrapped around this Batman, some version of Batman. So I'll be interested to see where they go, if that's a Pattinson thing or they choose to keep that separate or what.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
It makes sense. You take the most successful vehicle you have, and you take the rest of the universe and wrap it around it, and you go from there. I mean,
But they've never done that before. They didn't do it with these films. They didn't do it with the Nolan Batman films, which were at the time the best versions of comic book films ever made. They chose to we're gonna make Man of Steel and not connected at all.
I mean, there was, from what I understand, there was a discussion with Christian Bale of, hey, do you want to come back and play Batman and Batman v Superman for like a minute? And then he's like, no.
He's too much of an artist to get tied into a.
But we get him as Gore instead.
Yeah, Thor: Love and Thunder. But even in the even around the Dark Knight, when that came out, there was a Justice League movie with George Miller being developed with like Armie Hammer as Batman and
Armie Hammer as Batman.
Yeah.
Cannibal Batman. Here we go.
Yeah.
George Miller kind of fits George Miller, but
a Cannibal Batman definitely does. Better. Yeah. No, that's rabid. Rabid Batman. But yeah, I'm curious to see what happens. That's about all I've got.
Okay, so I want to have a conversation.
Okay.
Before we sign off.
Yes.
Alan, you've said that this is one of your Christmas movies, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I am not here to say that your opinion for yourself is wrong. I am not here to tell people that movies that they believe are Christmas movies is wrong. I'm here to talk about wordage. This movie to me, Alan, like the movie White Christmas, so I put White Christmas into this as well, via our conversation we had 4 years ago.
Yes.
As a Christmas time movie. A movie that is good to watch for whatever reason around Christmas. I really don't consider it a Christmas movie.
This is a huge debate, much bigger than this. This is where Die Hard and so many other films fall into this Christmas time versus Christmas movie. Yeah,
we'll need a whole another hour to talk about this. But my hot take on this genuinely was, this is more of a Christmas movie than Die Hard. That was the hot take, because this has more Christmas imagery in it. It has more Christmas themes in it, of family and acceptance and belonging and firstborn sons. That's my official hot take on this movie.
The only way that this movie could have been more is if there was lamb's blood. Leave it at that.
That's Passover. That's not Christmas.
I know, but it's still part of this. It's still part of his life story, so it works. It's still part of his.
Oh man, there's so much to unpack there.
But I mean, so I mean, my thing is, and I like the fact that people like to debate it.
Yeah.
It gets to a point of ridiculous sometimes, to where people just can't let other people enjoy things.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to get it that far, because that's not where I'm going with this. It's not.
For me, any movie that is set around Christmas, I want to watch that because you get the soundtrack in there with whatever Christmas movie. This one, it's got the imagery, it's got the winter Tim Burton feel.
Yeah.
Same with Die Hard. I love the use of the Christmas music in that, and sure, it doesn't have as much imagery, but he's in a building that's being built, Devin. What else do you want? The whole thing's about him trying to rescue his wife. It's not about family. What?
Tune into our bonus episode where we fight about Christmas movies for 3 hours.
So,
right.
I mean, thing is,
in Christmas imagery, there's tons of red in Die Hard.
It's blood.
That's the Christmas color. Yeah.
Yeah. The blood in this is blue. So like.
Yeah.
It's fair.
Yeah. So I mean, the thing is, for anyone out there who finds yourself on the other end of someone yelling at you about whatever movie that you like and that you consider a Christmas movie, ask them what they define, what elements in that film do they themselves define something to be a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
And then when they give you that, be like, well, this is what I define it as, and then just leave it at that. And I found myself on the receiving end of one of those conversations recently online, and that's why I wanted to make this PSA. So,
well done.
The last thing I want to bring up that was the thing that bothered me the most about this movie, the most supernatural aspect, if we're going to talk about this as a supernatural movie, is the penguin's death scene. When he's just laying there face down and those kids in the penguin suits come out and carry him into the water. The physics of that, not only like to watch it with them in those penguin suits, but that's not how flippers work. Like how are they carrying him?
Emperor penguins are strong.
That's the how question you have with.
Yes. Yes.
How did the penguins teach him how to speak English? How did he?
Well, no. He was raised by the circus.
Oh, that's true.
He wasn't raised by penguins. What do you think this is? Batman and Robin?
Tim Burton movie? Yeah.
No, like. Yeah, just the imagery of that this time around, I guess because I watched it on the Blu-ray and was actually paying attention. Like, they're like obviously not touching him, but he's still going down into the water. It's just so ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the most ridiculous thing about this film. That's the physics of the flippers. Yeah.
Yes. So, just my last thing on this.
Yeah.
Last thing for whatever. When I used to watch Batman '89. My favorite memories when I was like 6, 7, 8 years old is convincing my parents to watch Batman '89 on a Friday night, order pizza, be sitting on the carpet in front of the TV, playing with all of my toys from Batman Returns, watching Batman '89.
That's a night, man. That is a night.
Yeah.
Playing, with the little marching penguins with the little spring shot little rockets on their backs.
Oh yeah.
And then my favorite Batman toy from when I was younger, period, was the 1 foot and a half long Batmobile where the sides popped off and made it skinny.
Yep.
That was my favorite one. And I would use those as a weapon in my imagination toy play.
One of my favorite toys from this movie is the Batman cups that I've been drinking out of all night. Came with Batman Returns Frisbee lids.
Oh, I didn't remember that.
Oh yeah. The toys were amazing for these films. I did love the toys growing up.
Yeah,
they were great.
Yeah. All right. Well, Josh, thank you for joining us. Greatly appreciate it. This was a very fun episode. And I think a very good one to end the year on. This is our final show of the year. We're taking next week off because of the holidays. So if you're watching at home or listening at home, thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of the show. We appreciate you. Even if you can't join the chats when we're live, we'd love to hear your feedback. So go ahead and drop a comment wherever you listen to us. If you're listening on iTunes, leave a review. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Visit our website, rumrunnerspodcastnetwork.com. You can listen to our podcast on all major podcasting platforms, Instagram, Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube to check out older episodes because Twitch doesn't hold on to them as long anymore. Thank you guys for being here and doing this with me every week. It's one of the highlights of my week every week. I just need a break. So I'm looking forward to coming into the new year, refreshed and excited to. I've got a lot of things on the list for, just from recent movies that I've seen or I know I'm going to see here soon with the Oscar season coming up. Just a little bit of a tease. We'll be watching Everything Everywhere All at Once here soon. But yeah. You guys have anything to say before we wrap it up?
Thanks for having me on. Good seeing you all around the holidays. Alan, I'm finally going to get the chance to watch Violent Night tonight. I've been
nice.
to see that. Been
Nice.
wanting to see that since New York Comic Con, and we didn't get to see it there. So, yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah,
thanks for being here. Devin, Ryan, anything?
You go ahead, Ryan.
Okay, I'm just gonna be doing a lot more of like mini themes of like 1 or 2, 3 movies that make sense, but I'm gonna be doing them back to back for now on instead of spreading them out. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
And for me, I mean, we saw our Spotify Wrapped. We know who you are listening to us. Thank you guys. You're awesome.
Yeah.
I hope everyone has an awesome holiday. And Josh, always a pleasure, man. Thank you so much for coming.
Same. Definitely same.
Yes.
good to see you.
Join us for our first show back on January 3rd, where the guys don't know this. We'll be doing our best of 2022 and a look ahead of 2023. So join us for that. Until next time, for You Have to Watch This podcast, I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
And I'm Batman. See you next year.